Okay, I believe we are live.
I would like to thank everybody for attending the meeting and call the meeting to order. If anybody has a conflict of interest, please declare it at the time. I don't have a copy of the agenda right in front of me, Amanda, so I'll let you carry through there if you could, please.
Sure, thanks. Go ahead,
Councillor. Any correspondence or anything? Or?
No, Councillor Morris, there's no correspondence, no delegations. I will just note that our meeting is being live streamed on YouTube on the Township of Warwick YouTube channel. We have one item of business today, which is the Parks and Rec Report 13-20 and our regular update report from our Parks and Recreation Manager. And that's
well, I'd like to turn it over to Teresa then, if I could, please.
Thank you. Oh, Teresa, you're still on mute.
Sorry about that, folks. Thanks very much,
There you go.
Councillor Morris. And would you like me to just do what we've done in the past? Just
yes,
me to
please.
go through unless
yes, please.
You see a hand raise? Okay. Sorry, excuse me. So on June 24th, Lambton County moved to stage 3, and we've attached COVID-19 Warwick Update 12 as posted on July 23rd. I should note for the next item, we still are in the process of updating signage, and it's our typical signage that we've had at the parks, just signs and symptoms, washing your hands, physical distancing, and assumption of risk. So normally you would have seen a full update on COVID within the COVID-19, but because there's so many pieces to each amenity, I put it in with the amenities, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense, yep.
So just an update, as of July 18th, a cooling center was established in the arena lobby. And we've done it with physical distancing, has all the signage in place, and we have contact tracing. To date, no one has signed in. And we also have cleaning protocols in place. The other thing is that we've kept it open Monday to Friday, 10 to 3, and Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 2. And it's just easier for us to have it open all the time, as opposed to just when a heat alert is called. So if someone's in the park and working out, they can still step in and cool off and get a drink. And then they also have access to the washroom there. The radiant side seat heaters was a capital, it was in the capital budget for 2020. We did receive a quote that was $30,000 under budget, which was a great find, I should say. And so we've proceeded and the heaters have been ordered. So we're hoping to get that work done in the next few weeks. Pickleball has moved indoors on the arena floor as of August 10th, and they'll continue to play on the arena floor until we put ice in. Myself, as a manager in Parks and Rec, with the CAO clerk and administrative assistant, we hosted a second ice user group meeting. So after the first one on, I believe it was July 8th, we promised that when we got the announcement to move to stage 3, we would host another meeting. And we did that. So the invitations, emails were sent out the week that we moved, I believe, to stage 3. And we hosted the second meeting on August 5th. And this was the first time we've hosted an in-person meeting. So we did have a COVID-19 plan in place, just as we would expect any user to have. So people came in, they signed a waiver, they did a pre-screening questionnaire, we wiped all the pens down, wiped the railings off, there was hand sanitizer available and wipes, and people could choose whether or not they wore masks, and staff had masks available should someone be more comfortable with us wearing them. And so I just put a summary as to the discussion on ice rentals. And so basically we went over the update 12. the COVID-19 rental restrictions. So those that are in place right now for hall rentals, ice rental rates and ice cancellation policy, just to refresh their memory. So nothing is changing for this season. And then we did maybe a little bit different where we took a draft or the ideas that we've been working on for return to play for users to come back into the ice rink for feedback. And so we had a good discussion, and these were the discussion items that I brought back or that I presented, and then we had the discussion from there. And so since then, we have been working on a more detailed plan. So we know, for example, how many players and coaches can be in a dressing room and still be physically distanced. We've measured all of that stuff out. We're looking at flow of traffic, how many people can be there during a rental, because we're still capped at 50 for the facility. And we looked at what's required from staff also to clean, disinfect before another user could use that dressing room. So I don't know if there's anything in particular you'd like for me to speak on those items. And if not,
yeah. Martina?
Yeah, I just was wondering about the conversation around having no spectators.
Yeah, so so a lot of the information we've drawn from our facilities that have already opened, facilities that are in the process of opening just like us. So we're all collaborating on this. Some are allowing spectators in a specific area. Many are not allowing any spectators or parents in the facilities, because there's two things. One is it's now an added area that we would be required to clean and disinfect. And two, it takes away from the number of people that could be on the ice per se. So if we had 10 spectators, then that reduces the number that can be on the ice and that can be coming for the next rental.
Okay, because I've seen some stuff come out just over the last few days that some of those things have changed around facility and who can be where.
Yep.
Around the spectators. And also, as a parent, it would be very concerning to me if I was sending my young child into the arena to do a sport without a parent.
And so, and I agree. So the question then becomes, if you have a parent for each child, then say there's 15 children on a team and there's 15 parents that come in. The coaches have already agreed, or the associations, that they would tie skates because we can't have parents in the dressing rooms because there wouldn't be enough space to physical distance if we had that situation. So if we do have 30, that limits how many more could come in for the next rental. That's what our challenge is.
So it's the crossover that you're concerned about?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And there are things I have to say, Martina, I've been off ill and just under the weather. So there may have been things come out this week. This was based on last week's information. And we all know in the COVID-19 world, it changes sometimes daily and sometimes more than once in a day. And especially when clarifications come out that
for sure
we receive as facilities, but they're not broadly distributed to the public.
Okay.
So
I have an idea I'd like to throw out there, Teresa.
yes.
From what I understand, if I've heard things right, the upstairs of the Watford Arena is separate from the arena.
No.
Oh, it isn't. It's all considered one, like what I was thinking, could we have
So
50 spectators upstairs in the arena and still be able to do your ice as you want?
So as Teresa said, she has been off this week. There was an announcement, yes, made, I don't know if it was late last week or early this week, that multi-purpose recreation centers can now hold up to 50 people in certain, in each segment of the facility. However, you still have to account for entering and exiting and cross traffic. But with appropriate planning and a safety plan in place, we could have more than 50 people in the facility, yes. It would just depend on if the hall was rented as well, like all those kinds of considerations. And there was some guidelines put out by Lambton Public Health as well to support those kinds of decisions and considerations.
Well, I think, would that help your concern, Martina?
Yes, I think so, because the spaces are now different.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my clarification question. Was this based on the other guidelines? Because I think the announcement came out like Friday night or something. So
Yeah. And
so that's
so
good.
if I can just speak to that, and that was something that Amanda and I had talked about previously, because we already established a plan on how we could segregate the building, because we could still have a cooling center. So it was already designed for that. Prior to Friday, though, it was a discussion on the 50 for the facility. And there were so many people, like we could have written the province and asked for an exemption. There were so many municipalities in the same situation that we assumed that they would come out with clarification, and that's what we were hoping for. But we already had a plan in that we could still keep a cooling center. We could still use the hall because we have those different entrances. They have sliding door to the arena, single door up to the hall, plus the elevator, the lift, and then using the east single door with the wall divider to still be a cooling center. So we can set up for that. Yeah.
Well, that should solve a lot of the problems.
It will help, but we still have activities and rentals in the hall part.
Oh,
too.
yes, yes. I
So-
understand that. Amanda, if I could, at this time, I'd like to turn the chair back over to Councillor White.
Thank
you. Todd.
Sorry for the delay. I was stuck doing stuff with other people, so I apologize.
No problem.
But yeah, so we will just, where are we, Wayne? Since
We're pretty well down to Teresa giving her report.
Yeah.
That was pretty well all that was on the agenda, Todd.
okay, excellent. Well, I'll let her continue then. Thank you.
And then,
Can you see me?
No,
no,
are you there?
Yeah, you can't see me. How come my
No, you
face
gotta turn your video on.
switch to active speaker? Am I on now? I can see Todd.
No, active video. Go up.
Yeah,
It said,
switch to active speaker. No.
but should say video then too, John.
I just sent you a prompt, John. I don't know if it will pop up.
Yeah, it did.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Okay.
There's John.
Yeah, I'm there. I was just looking at a white little circle of me the whole time, so that's what. Now I'm good. Okay, so I was just wondering, Teresa, do you have all the protocols ready for the arena to open on the 8th of September? Did you? Because that's what you're working on now with your staff.
yeah. So one of the challenges is that we go down a path and then a new set of COVID-19 rules come out and it changes things up a little bit. So I have a couple of plans, and so we've got to still tweak it yet until we know for sure. But to go towards that though, so every user is required to give a return to play plan for us, and also to submit a request for ice time. So normally I would do ice allocation in a normal world. I would have done it like in the spring using a request for ice form. So we've done this knowing that there will most likely be no hockey tournaments, but still to include that information. We're going by historical ice allocation. So all the previous major ice users received an ice schedule based on, I think it was the November 10th week of 2019, and request for ice use, and then also to do the return to play. The return to play isn't due yet, but the other two items, or the request for ice time, is due on Friday. So we're hoping to get a better sense of what ice is needed. But at the same time, many user groups are emailing me their return to play plans that we'll review also.
So a lot of people have asked I've had a number of inquiries about, will the ice be ready for September 8th? And I'm thinking, do I say yes, it will be ready for the 8th of September?
I'll let Amanda speak to that.
Yeah,
John, that's a great question, and that's absolutely a great question. And Teresa, so we are bringing a report to council on Monday, August 24th, which will include a summary of the ICE requests that we've received as of Friday, and then a summary of what kind of ICE rentals that we have planned. And then council will consider when the ICE will go in. So at the ICE user meeting, you would have heard that the tentative plans are absolutely September 8th. But it was also discussed that if none of our users are able to rent ICE at that time, then that's something I think council needs to know, right? So on Monday, they'll have all the information, hopefully, from everyone who returns their plan on the demand, the ability of our user groups to commit, and then they'll be able to consider more fully the ICE in timeline.
yeah. You also remember, once the ice is in, there's people that say, oh, great, the ice is in. Can I book an hour? Can I book an hour? Can I book an hour? Right? That's something you have to add. Is it going to be that easy this year? Will they be able to phone, or do they have to go through a number of steps to get that ice booked because of COVID? Like if I want to book an hour ice time, is it the same as last year, or do I have to go through a number of steps, right? That's what they.
You'll have to go through some minor steps just to inform us. You'll have to sign a waiver and submit a return to play plan, which is very short and will just outline the measures that you will take to protect yourself and the people using the facility with you. And also you'd have to review our protocol.
Do you have a form for that return to play, or do they have to make up their own? Is there a guideline to follow? For somebody? Is there-
Speak to that.
Yeah, there is a guideline to follow. I've looked at different municipalities. Some had forms, some had guidelines. We went with guidelines because we're using it for all of our halls, everything, pavilions, everything. And we're trying to make it as easy as possible. Anything that would be like minor hockey, they're going to have one that's set for them from Hockey Canada. But basically it's your name, contact information, and PPE, how are you going to physical distance? So it's all laid out for them.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Great, moving on.
Okay. So I guess we'll go to the next page. Yeah, so I've already talked about the fact that we have requested, to get a firm idea of what ICE users are going to be able to use. It's an interesting process because there's so many variables, right? And whether they can play games. Yeah, so there is a lot of variables right now. So hopefully we can sort this out over the next week. In the parks, the Horticulture Society is just freshening up the North Watford entrance sign. So you may notice some changes there. The Watford and Warwick ballparks, the fencing along the south property line has been installed on the new ball diamond in Watford. We did have outstanding items for the new ball diamond. Realigning the lights is still outstanding. And then there were 2 areas of sod that required replacement. Since this report is really, we got this done early. So there has been changes and updates since then. And the sod in those 2 areas has been replaced and we are watering it at this point. And the protective netting has been, the contractor has let me know that they're hoping to get that work at least started within the next few weeks. The ball diamonds, the conveners were let known that on July 24th, they could have ball games with restrictions. And the league conveners confirmed that they were not going to have any ball season this year. And that being said, we did meet with rental restrictions, the park pavilions have been opened, and we have had a couple of firm commitments for the end of August. And there are, I believe, another one that's being considered. And the concession, Amanda and myself have met with them, and they are not going to open this summer. There's just not a demand at this point, and but discussions for the future are ongoing. So we're working together to look at the future. And all the playground equipment was opened on July 24th.
Teresa, what about the booth at the arena? Have you got a plan for that?
That will depend a lot on ice rentals. So right now, I just got word today, or sorry, yesterday, we had ordered acrylic, so for all the service areas, so kitchens and concessions. That was shipped to us, I believe today or yesterday. So that's on its way. So we will be prepared for an opening, and not unlike anyone else. Theirs will be a return to business. We'll have to provide a plan, and then it will be on demand. The lease prescribes that they're required to be open certain times. But I suspect it again will be a very different year without having, visiting teams and so on and so forth. Or at least they have to be teams within their own league.
Thank you.
The halls we opened with restrictions on August 4th. And we did follow up with anything that had been scheduled or any tentative rentals. And they were contacted and let know what the restrictions were going to be. If they proceeded with the rentals, they had to do the return to play or activity or function, the COVID waiver, and do their contracts. And I'd like to say that everyone who returned to their activity, including the gun club, we met with them. They are back open. They all, no hesitation whatsoever, all did the waivers, all did the return to plays, and did their contracts. And it was, I'd like to thank them because it was a very smooth process for us as staff, because it's kind of complicated for us to work through. And it was really great to work with people that were just amazingly cooperative. So it was really good. Right now, Parks and Rec staff are cleaning the facilities. We don't have enough of a demand to bring the caretakers back. It is on my list to meet with them. We're, as Parks and Rec, figuring out the cleaning process ourselves and the standard, and then we'll be meeting with caretakers to ensure that they're following the same process. That's something that'll be very important. But right now, there's very little setup or tear down required. And there's like yoga that started back. So in that sense, we do still have a little bit of time. And we'll keep reviewing as we get more notices, right? But this is where we are right now. And the inventory, maintenance, and cleaning of all the tables and chairs and the sundry items, so all the dishware in all 3 halls has all been inventoried and has all been cleaned. So it's ready for use as when we go back to being able to serve food and beverages. Okay, the Watford Library and Watford Museum, formerly the Watford Fire Hall. We've completed, the engineers have completed structural analysis on both of the buildings, and I do have their reports, and we'll be reviewing their reports to determine action that's needed for long-term to bring them up to standard, and short-term remediation. So we do have some bricks crumbling from the museum, and I do have a mason quote, but we need to look at sort of combining long-term and short-term in the best way to remediate and not necessarily spend a lot of money if we're going to have to spend a lot of money later, if that makes any sense. And the Watford Arena expansion to community center and arena renovations. Unfortunately, we were not a recipient for the ICIP grant. However, staff are still researching other possible grants for building.
What percentage was that of that we asked for, that we need for the building? Like, how much was that grant we were expecting?
Can I let
Sure.
Trevor speak to that?
You know that?
74%.
Pardon?
74%.
Oh, so that was,
Yeah, it was substantial.
we were turned down for all of it then.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay.
They had 10 times the amount of applications in terms of dollars as per money to award, and it was a very competitive process, but the second stream or subsequent streams that are coming out, we're ready to go with another application, and we've been encouraged.
Okay. Thank you.
Was that a question, Councillor White?
Just a comment that I forwarded an article to Trevor. We're not the only ones as well. There was a $67 million library in Guelph that didn't get any funding either. So, there was a lot. I think there was a lot of programs that didn't get it. So
I think we have to remember we've had quite a bit of grant money come our way. Like, it's not like we're always losing. We've
No.
got a lot of money in the past.
Okay, so the Parks, Recreation, Tourism, and Culture Master Plan is delayed. We've been focusing on stage 3 reopening. So I'm still hoping to get to that this month. But depending on how COVID goes, part of it will be once we've selected the consultant, will be a lot of community consultation. And the hope was that we would have this in place by September. We'd be at a point that we could do that, but I'm not sure we're there yet. But it hasn't been lost sight of. Staffing, so with stage 3, we onboarded 2 Parks and Rec summer students to help us out. So they're great summer students, and they've fit in really well. One was a return student. We did have a full-time recreation laborer resign, and we did do an internal posting and hiring. We did fill the position. However, the individual has confirmed that they had another offer, and they did accept that other offer. So unfortunately, we will be looking again. And we've also posted externally for part-time recreation laborers, and that closes this Friday. So we are
the 2 students finished at the end of the month? They're going back to school?
September 4th.
Okay.
Programs and events, as I mentioned, pickleball's moved indoors. They have new times. And although it's a community program, all of the equipment is supplied by the municipality. And we have 2 outstanding women from the community that look after the program. So I've met with them, and we created a plan of, because it's moving indoors, on how to practice social distancing, all of the things that are required. And they've been phenomenal in doing that. And we're doing contact tracing. The participants sign in when they show up. And that information is kept confidential, but should we need to follow up if there was a positive case, we in ourselves are also practicing all of those plans that we're expecting everyone else to provide for us. Cornfest had a modified event on August 8th with the pickup of food at Centennial Hall. And I understand from feedback that it went well. So I'm hoping that my second year with the municipality, I actually get to experience all of these great events in a somewhat more normal way.
I hope so too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You probably may have already noticed there was a notice posted, but And this is included because Parks and Rec staff do provide some support to the Watford Cemetery Decoration Day. So it has been canceled for the in-person traditional format. However, Amanda staff have still provided programs, and they will be available. I believe they're available online also. And some people can print them off, or they will be available the day of. And
Yes.
People, if you're going to visit your loved one, you'll still have access to programs. And sorry, Amanda. Amanda's the expert on this.
Just in case anyone is watching who's interested in the Decoration Day, the programs are available on our website right now. They also are available at the Township office for pickup anytime. If you contact the Township office, we'd be happy to mail one to you or email one as well. And they will be available on the date of the event at the cemetery. And it's marked in the advertisement, but close to I think we called it something better, but the shed at the cemetery, there will be a table set up with the programs there as well for anyone who wishes to visit their loved ones on their own. Thanks, Teresa.
And Amanda, can you, the date is August 30th, correct? The last Sunday of August?
That is correct. Yes, Sunday,
Okay.
August 30th. Typically, our service would have been at 2:30, but anyone's welcome to go anytime. We will have the programs available all weekend. Our plan is to have them starting Friday, August 28th, and then through to the 31st or the 1st on site.
Okay, and I have chatted with the Rotary Club and got back and forth. It's weird when I'm reporting when the person that I've chatted with is right here, but looking at a modified Rotary fish fry for September 2020.
Teresa, we met last night.
Yep.
And I'm very happy to say Rotary is going forward with their fish fry. It will be September 12th. I think they'll be getting a call official to book the hall, et cetera, but it is the 12th of September. It will be a drive-by takeout, basically the same way the Kerwood Optimist did it.
Yep.
The price is, they've lowered the price because it's not going to be like a buffet this year. And we're really looking forward to it. We've missed 2 or 3 of our fundraisers, and the fundraising is good, but getting out and doing something with the community is better. So we're really looking forward to it.
Good.
Thank you for your help too.
Yeah, no worries. That's what we're here for. So that's good to hear. And then just the last item, we did have 2 AEDs expire. So what we've done is got models so that they're all the same model now, the 2 that we had to replace. So all of our models across the municipality are the same, and Parks and Recreation outside of fire services, because they look after their own equipment. Parks and Recreation will be looking after all the defibrillators in the municipality. So that would mean Centennial Hall, the arena has 2, and the township office has 1. And they're all the same model, which makes it much easier now for us to order and track and do all those things. So we've accomplished quite a bit over the last few months. But as you can see with COVID, there's still so much to do and finalize over the next couple weeks.
Great. Any questions from anybody?
Go ahead, Martina.
Yeah, yep, sorry.
I actually have 2 questions. I'm going to go back to the ice for a few minutes. The first one is just wondering, Amanda, if the new guidelines that came out just over the last few days have been sent to the users, because I'm wondering if that will affect the plans that they create, because the spectator space is different than the rink space is different than there's a few different spaces that are different. So it may affect the way they develop their plan. Just a thought.
A great question, Martina. No, it hasn't, and we can absolutely follow up on that.
Okay, great. And
Great
my other question
suggestion.
was, is there, like, was there and is there any sort of government support if municipalities put their ice in and then something changes in the COVID situation? So was there support, you know, when everything shut down in March and you had costs, or will there be support if municipalities put their ice in and then things get shut down for a bit and then pop up again? Like, I haven't seen any plans around that.
Sure. So there wasn't initially. So we declared an emergency, but no, so far until very recently, the municipality was bearing the lost revenue on our own, as all municipalities and businesses are at this time. However, the province of Ontario and the federal government just partnered to release a Safe Restart agreement, phase 1. They're calling it phase 1 funding, where they're giving municipalities grants based on a per household basis and to support COVID costs. So the caveat is all the funding does need to be spent on COVID-related costs to the municipality. So to help offset those costs, Warwick did just receive our notification of assessment, and based on our population, we received $89,400 as part of this phase 1 funding. So that's excellent. Anything to help. But it was announced as phase 1, but details on future phases are really unknown, but we did just receive that.
Okay, I was just trying to think of, is there any sort of safety net that makes us feel a little more confident about, you know, moving forward with things? Because there's sort of the two sides, right? We want to move forward and get people doing the things they need to do to feel good, but we kind of want that, I know from the business side of it, we kind of want that safety net. So I just wasn't sure it was there. Thanks.
There's also, Martina, I'm really sorry, Teresa, I'm really going here. There's also, we are working with our neighboring municipalities, so kind of the municipalities on the eastern side of Lambton, about exactly that discussion. You know, what happens if ice is in and ice needs to be removed? Is there any way that we can work together if we need to? Maybe we don't need to, but so we are trying to be innovative and look at alternate solutions as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I get one question with the use of the arenas and stuff. If we did see an outbreak in the school systems locally, does that affect the shutdown of hockey and figure skating and all that? Do we make that decision, or who makes that decision?
Would that not be in their plans?
Well, that's what I'm asking, is because I think September is going to be very telling if people can be in groups, and the kids are the guinea pigs.
Do you mind a minute? Every sport, everything, to me, it would come back to public health and direction from public health. Mm-hmm. As to what we would need to do and how to proceed. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Amanda, if you have anything.
The problem.
No, I agree. I think we have been taking throughout the pandemic our direction from public health, their expertise, and they've been great to work with, answering our own operational and safety questions, as well as for everyone in the area. But I think it's hard to say, Councillor White, really. I hate to say that, but because these organizations are also governed by larger associations that would then put in their own rules. So if they started to see an impact, they may see some additional rules come through their associations. We may also have some additional rules if the environment changed and the guidance from public health changed. But I think we're unable to say at this time, should there be an outbreak because of school starting, would we close down the arena? And I don't know. It really depends on what kind of numbers we're talking about. Again, what the guidance from Lambton Public Health would be. It's just certainly in the worst case scenario, it's plausible. we just hope, of course, that we don't reach that point, right?
Well, I guess my questioning though, along the lines is the players who are coming into that arena, the figure skaters, there's probably 5 to 6 different high schools, public school. Like when you actually expand it out, you're probably dealing with 20 different areas, which span anywhere from Strathroy to Sarnia to Forest to Petrolia, and the surrounding areas. So, like it's not, this does not localize it just to Warwick Township and the associations. I'm not sure if that's in their plan, like if they have to register where each of their players goes to school, all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, if something goes on, do those players get tested, or are they not playing, or how's that work? Go ahead, Teresa. Yeah.
So each of the associations, governing bodies, it clearly says that that this is what you need to do within our association, but you always have to defer back to the municipality and your local public health.
Right.
So even though it may say spectators are allowed, we may choose to not have spectators.
Right.
If that is what we think will work better. But it doesn't, and we're just using that as an example, Martina, because it just came to head because we just talked it. Doesn't mean that's the case. But yeah, so everything, and I think the executive director from Skate Ontario said it best when I was on a call, that we have to remember that this is not a sport crisis, this is a public health crisis, and that we need to work within public health and our municipalities, and we'll all work together. And that's why we brought back, you know, the return to play stuff, to have a discussion with ICE users and to get some feedback before we would finalize anything.
Yeah.
As opposed to say, hey, this is what you're going to do. So,
yeah,
you know,
just, I guess, and I'll get to Martina in a second. The big concern in my reading of the whole COVID crisis is going into the winter, when people have to be indoors, when more people are indoors. We've been very lucky this summer because most people have been outside, but you know, it'll be a real big test. And so, do we have the ability to claw things back if we have to quickly, or to contact trace and know where? We don't want to create a hotbed for an outbreak. So, and Martina, go ahead.
I was just going to add that it really is hard to answer that question yet, because there isn't really even a clear definition of outbreak in a school yet. That's still coming from the government. And also the way some sports are setting things up, just because a participant is there doesn't mean that everyone that's in their group is a close contact. So for example, if you were figure skating and you had 10 figure skaters on the ice and you had them all physically distanced from each other, they wouldn't necessarily be a close contact of everyone else who's on the ice. But if you were in their class, you might be. Like there's varying definitions of who is considered a close contact. So just because there was an outbreak declared at a school doesn't mean it would affect the recreation programs that those children attend. But I suspect that in all of those sport plans, there would also be a requirement for them to basically have an attendance log, so that they know, so they do know who's there, where to find them, and who they were with. So there's just so many pieces to that puzzle.
Yeah.
There's so many pieces. Yep. Yes, Teresa.
So yeah, so just to confirm what Martina said, that is part of the return to play. From a municipal perspective, it's one of the items that the user groups have to do everywhere. Gun club, everyone. Yoga classes, every rental has to do it. They don't have to submit it because that's their personal and confidential information, but they do have to have it available should there be a positive COVID case. And so that contact tracing form, so we did it for our ICE user group meeting, everybody signed in. We're doing it for pickleball. So for figure skating, hockey, whatever, they would need to have a list on how to contact everyone that was there during those particular times. So for every rental, they have to do it also. They don't have to submit it again, as I said, but it needs to be available for public health should they need to follow up with people.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, and if that's, I guess, is there a consequence if that's not maintained from our standpoint? If something happens and people don't have the list to provide?
Well, I know from the association's perspective, it's been very much that you need to cooperate and work with your facilities. So I'm anticipating that we're not going to have any issues. We didn't have any issues for all the rentals we've done so far.
Mhm.
That everybody gets it when it's explained to them. And I guess I don't know if their associations would have, you know, maybe someone loses ice then that.
Or are they not, are they done? Like, if you don't maintain what you have, you're done. Like, there's no ice, there's no nothing. It's over.
It could be a possibility, and it could be even that their associations would support that also.
Yeah.
It's just something we have to look at again. There's just,
Yeah.
as Martina said, there's just so many things, and it's just changing daily, so.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else questions? No,
No,
seeing none. Can we ask for an adjournment? Do you have something in it? Or no?
Just
Yep.
if everyone was satisfied with Teresa's report, I would just ask for a receive and file motion on that report prior to
Perfect.
adjournment. Councillor White?
Yep, we can do that. Can I call on, I see Wayne's finger first. And a seconder for that? Martina and John's in favor. That's a go. Thank you.
Thank you.
And motion to adjourn from someone? Martina and John and Wayne, you're in favor of that? Excellent. Okay, thank you for the meeting.
Good night, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.